Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Looks like the mic is working. Thank God. Just another thing we got to worry about is the audio working, but I can see the dots going, so I'm fine. So we had Philadelphia yesterday. I had it locked plus 3.5 with Kansas City. Came through. I also had it at 3, so I pushed with I think Baltimore or LA or somebody. So the locks were Philadelphia plus 3.5, Kansas City, the Rams, and then we lost with Denver. So 3-1 in the locks. Again, Alabama is the free pick, and as you can see, so I played a game 2 weeks ago with Alabama. So I leave it on the site because I've already given Alabama. Last week I had, I think, Kansas City with Alabama. I think the Rams with Alabama. So I'm getting quite a few with Alabama. So the strategy is when I need a game, or like when I lost the Denver part of the lock, then what I do is I will play it with Alabama, and then we'll look at Alabama when we get to New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and we will see how much Alabama plus 7.5 we have. And then we can do what we did with the Auburn Florida State game. When Florida State, we had $5,000 on them, and we had to bet back on take Auburn plus 11, and we have Florida State -1. And that's what I'll look at here. My guess is Alabama will end up being a 2 or 3 point favorite. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll stay 1.5. Although I doubt it. There's too many Alabama people to not be betting on Alabama. And then so, I don't know, if I have 6, 7 locks ending with Alabama, then we can figure out how much money it is. It's about 7,000-8,000 now. And then we can bet back maybe 4,000 or 5,000 on Michigan -1.5. However, if my strategy is right, I'll get Michigan plus 2.5 or so, which I can actually tease plus 8.5 with the pro playoff games. So we will see. But that's a strategy. I don't intend it to be. I just keep going, well, you need a game. I'm going to take Alabama because I want to get the game in. And so a lot of last week's action that I had with teams in bowls, I moved to this week because they won, but I don't want to show my other picks besides Alabama out there. So all those are now in this week or next week's. So if you see a game that I had last week, the Rams with somebody, it's moved to whenever the other team plays, because otherwise you can just go to my site and go, oh, yeah, he's got the Rams with, Michigan State. No, let's bet Michigan State. Obviously, that's not true because they're not in the bowl. So let's look at the bowl game tonight. We have UTSA 9.5, 50.5. That was 11.5 for 12. What is going on there? My rotor wire went out. Like, what the fuck? Service is unavailable. I need my rotor to know what happened. Let's see. Alex gave me a new site called Action. And let's see if that tells us what's going on, if anything, today. So my only concern is Frank Harris playing, or what's causing the line to move. And I don't see. The head coach will stay. A couple of the AAC Defensive Player of the Year, Edge Trey Moore, is in the transfer portal. Marshall, the quarterback's not playing. Cole Bennington set to start. Well, that's nothing new. Injuries. Rashid Ali, the great running back for Marshall, is maybe setting out. But again, I don't know why that line would go down to 9.5. And I don't have my other site because it's not working. I can't believe this roto wire is unavailable. See, when here it comes. All right. So when my site goes down, I don't bitch, but here, this is, okay, Frank Harris is playing. I don't know. The only thing it doesn't show, like it says, Robert Henry is the running back. Well, it doesn't say, is he the starter or is he the new one? But they still have 12 here. So I don't know why I'm getting 9.5. But I'll take it. So this game's at 9 o'clock. All right. The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. So it's in San Francisco. Okay. That's the only game today. Then there's game Thursday, South Florida and Syracuse. The coach on Syracuse got fired. Syracuse is 2.5, 56.5. I don't know. And then Friday's UCF, Georgia Tech, 4.5, 67.5. UCF favored. And then the Saturday games, Duke and Troy, Arkansas State, Northern Illinois. What are they doing in a bowl game? James Madison and Air Force, the Armed Forces. I got to see if my Air Force quarterback's playing. James Madison's quarterback is not. Georgia State, Utah State, South Alabama, Eastern Michigan. What are they doing in a bowl? What is the point of the bowls? These are like MAC teams that finish 6-6. Utah Northwestern, Coastal Carolina, San Jose State. Okay. So basically UTS is tonight, and then South Florida Syracuse is tomorrow. Now let's go to the NFL. So Philly loses, and they really had Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. So Belichick doesn't even want the guy back because he always gets him jobs. And the guy is now the defensive coordinator of Philly. This is how bad they're getting. Philly, I told you they're an over team. Their defense sucks. Slay was injured. They got all these Georgia guys, so I don't know why they're so bad. It's a bad coach. And I didn't like with Drew Locken not blitzing him, playing soft zones, and virtually the winning touchdown, the guy just ran right by the corner and caught the ball. It was like, are you serious? I don't think they like Patricia. I wouldn't like him. If he was my coach, there's no way I'd play for him. I think the Philly coach is on his way out. I think you've got to understand how critical it is to have the right defensive coordinator. My God, Jim Schwartz, great coordinator. Not a good coach, not a good head coach, but a good defensive coordinator. You lose him and you get some guy who's not very good, and then you replace him with Matt Patricia. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy's terrible. So Philly has turned into an over team. They got the Giants this week, laying 10. They've now lost 3 in a row. And I think they'll beat DeVito, but Jesus, they're a 25 defense. The Giants are a 24, and I'd bet Philly's more like a 35 defense. I think you can only play the game over. I don't think you can even consider Philly winning. I don't know what's going on. Then you got Hurts, who had the flu or something, an illness. He played. I think they run him too much on this run up the middle. And if you notice near the end, they didn't run the shove play. They did it for the goal line play, but later on they handed the ball off to Swift. And I think he's hurt. I think his legs are getting hurt on that play. It's a stupid play. It's an illegal play it's a Madoff play as far as I'm concerned. And it's such an obvious, you're going to run up the middle for 2 yards. Okay. Hey, Alex. Yeah, I got your thing. It doesn't have everything. I'm not seeing it. Like, I don't see the spread. I don't see where the game's at and stuff like that. Frank Harris is out. Well, okay, that makes sense. Like I said, they went from 12 to 9.5, but I just went on RotoWire and it doesn't say Frank Harris is out, but I would imagine he's out. Is he out to get ready for the NFL draft or what? Well, if the line dropped, there's a reason, right? It's always action reaction. The Titanic hits the iceberg, the boat's sinking. Get the hell off. And if the line goes from 12 to 9.5, probably my immediate thought is Frank Harris was out. Just like the LSU quarterback, the line's been steadily dropping, and now we know he's out. That's the beauty of RotoWire. It just gives you who the starting quarterback is. So we assume it doesn't matter if he's NFL draft or transfer portal. We see Daniels is not quarterback LSU. I'm kind of surprised that the Michigan quarterback isn't sitting out to get ready for the draft. He might get hurt in the game. Alabama could rough him up. So yeah, I'm leaving that game alone. Anyway, I do like the over tomorrow in South Florida, Syracuse. Or I'm leaning to South Florida. Syracuse's quarterback's not playing. The coach got fired. And I'm getting points to South Florida, who can score in bundles. And their quarterback is not going to sit out. He needs the exposure. Anyway, Philly, if you're going to Matt Patricia as your defensive coordinator, that's like going to the offensive coordinator who was at Gaddis, who was at Michigan, and he sucked there, and then he went to Miami and he fucked up Van Dyke, and now he's at Maryland. Like, what do you keep giving this guy a job for? He's terrible. The Miami coach should have been fired when he didn't take and lost to Georgia Tech. What is he still doing there? He's proven he doesn't know what he's doing. The San Diego coach, we knew he didn't know what he's doing when he goes against Minnesota on 4th and 1 with a minute and a half left in the game at his own 25, and he goes for a first down. Now you don't need to wonder why he's gone, because the guy had no idea how to coach. What they miss on the 4th down is it's a fumble, basically. If you don't get it, it's just like a fumble, and you fire up the other team and you kill your team. And it showed in the Washington-Oregon, the first game, when Oregon went for it and didn't make it. And it killed the Oregon. They were flat. Washington had just got the fumble. Boom, boom, 2 plays, touchdown, they win, which is now costing Oregon a playoff spot because Oregon's the better team there. But they can't, these rules are so stupid in college. So it's like comparing, let's see, the 49ers lost to Cleveland and Minnesota. They shouldn't be in the playoffs. And then Philly now lost 3 in a row. They shouldn't be in the playoffs. And Dallas has lost 2 or 3. They shouldn't be in the playoffs. I mean, that's basically what Georgia loses 1 game to Alabama by 3 because the kicker misses the field goal. And they're not in the playoff, even though they're the best team. And then Oregon, who's clearly a 2 or 3 team, isn't in. Washington's in because they beat them. Okay, stupid. Why is Alabama in? They lost to Texas. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Why is Texas in? They lost to Oklahoma, who lost to Oak State. Oak State should be in. I mean, it's just so stupid. If it's a good team, it's a good team. The record's really irrelevant in college. They always are pushing for the undefeated team, but yet in the pros, a good team will go 12-5, 13-4, and they're in. Well, they lost 3 or 4 games. To think a team won't lose is ridiculous. And to make your sculpture on it, Alabama lost to Texas. I'm sorry. So they shouldn't be in. Georgia lost to Alabama. It's a better loss. I mean, if you want to go that route, but you don't have the best teams in it. You don't have Georgia and Oregon in the playoffs. So as far as I'm concerned, you don't have a very good playoff, but that's it. I put a small prop bet on Frank Harris unders tonight. Well, why, is it a rain? Is it a hurricane hitting wherever this game is, UTSA and Marshall? But the line's dropping, not the total. The total still 52? Yeah, let me look. Let's see what's going on. I got 9.5 and 50.5. I got 9.5 and 50.5. So the line and the total are moving. Is there a hurricane coming through wherever the hell this game? This is in San Francisco. Is there an earthquake happening there? Is this a weather thing or is it a Frank Harris thing? Let's see. So we've got UTSA injury. Nothing about Frank Harris. Let me go on Google. All right, so Frank Harris, UTSA status tonight. ESPN.com. Yeah, it's giving me more stats. Troy comes back to beat UTSA. I'm getting nothing. Quarterback Harris, UTS seniors prep for emotional send-off in Frisco. Roadrunners eye their first ever bowl win. Frank Harris, the UTSA football team will embark on their final hurrah season when they take on Marshall on Tuesday. It's important for us, UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor said, there's only a few things left in this program that we haven't done. This is one of those things. Earlier today, they were painting the field at Toyota. It's important for us. There's only a few things. So for us, it takes a level of importance that's probably more than most programs. So they're looking to win the game. It's my last time playing in a UTSA uniform, Harris said. I've just been here for so long and all the struggles we've been through this. It means a lot. There's no way this guy's sitting out. I don't think he's out. Yeah, I know he's playing. I don't think Harris is out. Unless he's injured, he just said how important the game is. I am not saying that he is out. Star quarterback Frank Harris came back from one final ride in San Antonio. So far, the season isn't going. UTS dropped suffered a turf toe. Missed last week's game against Army. I mean, this is early. Where did Frank Harris go to high school? Jesus Christ. Why is Frank Harris out? September 23rd. September 23rd. I can't get like returns for the season. I'm not getting anything on that. I would fully believe he's playing tonight based on what I just read, how important the game is and how they're trying to win. Maybe he's out, but I'm not seeing it. We don't know what the line movement is and the total if it's weather. The rotor wire doesn't give weather. I think UTSA is going to kill him. This means a lot to them, but I don't see him out. Nine and a half, 50.5. Let's see. So when I go in here, I get all the casinos, right? 9.5. I see 9, 9, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. I'm sorry, I don't see anything under 9.5. And let's go to the total. 50.5, 49.5. I think this is weather. 9.5, 49.5. You know what? It might, Ali might be out for Marshall, the running back, which would explain the 50, but I don't know what why 9.5. We'll find out. No weather issues. Okay. He's not sitting out according to what I read. He wants to play, so we will keep an eye on it. It could just be the algorithms saying, hey, if we look at the spread and we look at this and we look at that, they only should be 9-point favorites. This is the problem I'm having when lines move that don't make any sense. And it's basically because of algorithms. It's got nothing to do with common sense or football knowledge. So if that's the case, I like UTSA down to 9.5. You seeing it under 9.5? So, yeah, I go UTSA, beat Navy. That's all I can say. All right. So, again, Philly in big trouble. They've lost 3 in a row now. I told you KC, they weren't going to lose 3 in a row. Buffalo, they needed it. What about Dak Prescott? What a choke guy this is. Buffalo does not have a good defense. All right, they played KC 2017 because KC doesn't have any receivers. Seriously, see, this is the problem with Dallas, Dak Prescott. Terrible, terrible core. Where was he? He didn't show up. He's running the ball way too much. Didn't hit his receivers. They don't really have a running attack. I don't like Pollard as a runner. They ran in the beginning, got the holding penalty, and that was the game. The block punt. Can you explain how a guy who rushes the punter does not know you can't run into the punter in the NFL? I think you know it in high school. You can't run into the punter. Why would you run right at him and then jump into him? I mean, that's where the game was lost, right? If he doesn't do that, they punted. Dallas gets the ball back. Maybe they drive for a touchdown. And then that was it. They got up 14-0. Dallas, that was it. Dallas was done. I don't even know if Dallas comes back against Miami. So let's talk about that. So let's go through the line. We got the Rams 4.5. 46.5. This already moved from 44.5 last night. Both teams, this is a playoff game for both teams. New Orleans trying to win their division. The Rams aren't going to catch the Niners, but need the lead against Seattle. And they're okay, so Dallas or Philly will get the one wild card. The other wins the division, but then you've got a bunch of 7 and 6 teams, including the Rams, who I think are the best. They're a very good team. they just didn't have Stafford. So with him back, I think that's good. Now I hate the Thursday night game. New Orleans, the 19 defense, the Rams at 22. Stafford against Carr. The key is going to be Olave. Kamara looks good. Danny DeVito did not look good against New Orleans. I was watching the highlights there. So against Green Bay at home, he looked, and really he runs too much. He's one of these, I'm going to be a running quarterback. And, as soon as the pressure gets, they run. And that's the problem. That's when Brady and Rodgers would hit the receivers when wait for the last minute for the guy to get open. So I don't know. We will see. Alex. A drop this big is usually a star not playing, but we will see, I guess. Even if Harris is out, the issue is the starting quarterback for Marshall is horrible, and so is their defense. Now 9 and 48.5. Marshall Pennington, probably related to Chad Pennington, because he went to Marshall, right? They got a 28 defense. UTSC's got a 25 defense. And some of the defense aren't playing. I don't believe Frank Harris is out. I don't understand the movement. I agree with you. You would think. Look at the LSU line dropping because Daniels isn't playing. But look at Oregon. Why is Bo Nix playing? And that went from 15 to 17.5. I have no idea why he's playing. And then, so Oregon's going to try for what? To show how good they are? Well, we know how good they are. If Oregon really plays, Liberty doesn't have a chance in the game. But the question is, will they play? So very interesting. All right. The UTSA has some because Frank Harris was hurt for 3 or 4 weeks, and they sucked during those 3 or 4 weeks. No, it's a drop off, but Marshall's the key is Marshall's defense is not good, right? It's a 28 defense if everybody's healthy and playing, but UTSA wants to play. I think if you can get this game under 3, if it drops to 8.5, I think I would take UTSA. I think they still want to win, and I do not believe Harris is not playing. Based on what I just saw and read, I don't know. And if he is, what are they waiting for? Even on ESPN, they didn't say he was out. So let's give it time. It's 3:00. The game is at, I think, 9:00 tonight. So we can bet it at 5 or 6. We'll take a look at it at the end of the show. So the Rams 4.5, 46.5. They're scoring a little bit better. They look good. They had Washington like 28-7. Washington got a few junk touch. They scored like 2 minutes left, which is why we teased it, but it was 6, so they still covered. I like how Washington goes for 2 at the end to fuck the spread. New Orleans, I don't know. Are they good? Kamara I like. Olave I like. The other receiver from Ohio State. All these Ohio State receivers do nothing in the pros. Smith Najambi's terrible at Seattle. He had a big catch yesterday. Thomas at New Orleans doesn't play. And the guy who went to Alabama, who's on the Lions, is terrible. So let's see. But first blush, I don't know if I like the Rams 4.5 or New Orleans at 10.5 yet. Over under a 19 defense on a 22 with Stafford. It's probably over 40, I think, would be my first blush, but I got to read everything. Cincinnati 2.5, 37.5. What the fuck? All of a sudden, now they got Browning, and he's the quarterback, and then now they're a road favorite. And then what do we got? Do we got Mason Rudolph ahead of Trubisky, who absolutely sucks? How he's in the league and how Pittsburgh picks him up, hoping he's going to be better than he was at the Bears. How the Bears drafted him in the first round is just blows my mind. And and then it just I don't get it, but I don't. We'll have to see the starter. We'll go through the starters on RotoWire. But what the fuck? They're at Pittsburgh 2.5-point favorites because you got. And I'm not quite sure that Pickett's out. He's questionable from what I see. Cincinnati, both are under teams, 22 defense and a 20. But I ran into that last week when I went under with Cincy, Minnesota. And somehow he scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter against a strong Minnesota defense to go over. What the fuck was that about? Again, it's the stupidest defensive coordinators. We'll play a soft zone and let everybody run in front and catch 20-yard passes, and not a problem. I don't. Where's the blitzing? What are you, crazy? You just sit there and let these guys run, and I've never seen. They're so wide open. It's pathetic. But I don't know what to do here. Browning, now he's going to be a road favorite, really? I don't know. And then Chase is questionable. Pittsburgh, I doubt the 20 defense. I mean, last week they were 30-13 to Indy. 30-13. That's pathetic. So I don't know what to think of this. Pitt's usually a strong home dog. Let's check for the playoffs, but let me go through the line first. Buffalo 10.5, 43.5 to San Diego. Is the San Diego 43.5? So Allen against Stick. I think Buffalo kills them. Obviously, Buffalo needs the game. All right, they beat Dallas. They go to San Diego without their quarterback. Stick doesn't show anything. Is Keenan Allen going to play? We'll go through the injuries in the playoff scenario. But 10.5, 43.5. I don't think Buffalo will win by less than a touchdown. I'm not afraid of San Diego. Their coach is gone. They've quit, basically. They give up 60 points to Oakland. I don't see San Diego playing. Atlanta now is favored. Wow. So Indy is favored by 1.5. Atlanta's 1.5, 44.5. I like Indy as the dog. Oh, this is because Riddler's not going to be the quarterback. They're going back to whatchamacallit. They're going back to Heineken. So Heineken's the quarterback, and now Atlanta's now the favorite. I like Indy. They score a lot. They are an over team. Can Indy take advantage of this shitty defense? I don't know. Atlanta's one team that if they don't trade up to get, one of the 6 quarterbacks, I don't know what to think, but it's funny when you look at it. Obviously, Indy doesn't need a quarterback because they just drafted Richardson, and Carolina doesn't need a quarterback. And as I told you, they're going to pick first again. And then Washington does need a quarterback. Houston and Indy don't need quarterbacks apparently, although they do. This will be an interesting draft. Atlanta that desperately needs a quarterback. Seattle that needs a quarterback. Tennessee, they got Will Levis. You want Will Levis or you want Caleb or you want Penix or you want Bo Nix? I mean, this is the problem with these guys. They don't realize their quarterbacks aren't very good, and they're going to pass on these superstars. Detroit needs a quarterback. Goff stinks. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins. Washington definitely needs a quarterback. The Jets, they still have Aaron Rodgers. So if you get a guy, he's going to sit for 2 years. Green Bay needs a quarterback, but will they react that way? Will they say, well, we have Love, or will they get smart and go, well, we can get Penix or Bo Nix or Caleb? I mean, Carolina needs a quarterback, but they'll be too stubborn and they'll stay with Young. Huge mistake. Cleveland they have Thompson Robinson. Houston, they'll be okay. Jacksonville needs a quarterback, but they'll be stubborn and stay with Lawrence. Tampa Bay needs a quarterback. Well, they have Trask, so don't know what they're waiting for with putting him out there. Arizona's got Murray. Chicago, God knows they need a quarterback with Fields. They'll be too stubborn. Dallas, you give Dallas Caleb or Penix or Bo Nix, and they'd be in the Super Bowl. You keep them with Prescott, they don't got a chance. Miami with Tag, I'd rather have the other guys. New England for sure needs a quarterback. Denver's got Russell Wilson. Oakland needs a quarterback. KC's got Mahomes. The Giants, what are they gonna? They're so fucked up because they've got Daniel Jones signed to a $50 million a year for 5 years, and the guy stinks. And then DeVito, I would get rid of DeVito, but it's funny. He looks good against Green Bay. He looks like shit against New Orleans. Running too much. Can't read a defense. Sorry, DeVito. Philly with Hurts. I don't know. I think they're hurting him with all this quarterback push. I think it's the worst thing for him. He gets beat up there. I mean, now you've got the guy from Seattle yesterday jumping on his back. So if he wants to go, he's getting hurt. They're going to hammer him. Baltimore's got Lamar. I'd still rather have Bo Nix. And then Frisco's got Purdy. Okay, that's good. You don't have that many teams that actually need a quarterback or are going to get rid of one. Carolina's not going to get rid of Young, even though Young stinks. But Young's not their problem. They need receivers and they need defensive help. Okay, back to reality. Atlanta, as the favorite, I like Indy a lot as the dog. Indy's a good guy. Indy just keeps winning. Minshew's fine. I have no problem with him. Heineken, I'm not. This will be a 3-point game. Take the points. Green Bay, 4.5, 36.5. To Carolina. Carolina's a Z team, absolutely terrible. I think they're 14-0 if you bet against Carolina this year. Because last week you won if you bet against them. You get 3, and they won by 2. Hey, Todd. Where is Pittsburgh getting their points from? Rudolph, a product of Iowa. No, Rudolph went to Oklahoma State. He's an Oklahoma State guy. He was pretty good at Oklahoma State, but he hasn't shown anything. Cincinnati, over 38. Browning, he's looking good, but where was he the first 3 quarters? And then Minnesota went to a zone, and they didn't pressure him. In this league, it's simple. If you go to a zone and don't pressure the quarterback, he's going to eat you alive. As long as you put pressure on any of the quarterbacks, they're gonna cave in. So I think the defensive coordinators are terrible. Philly last night, they should have blitzed the final drive. If they would have blitzed Locke, they'd have won the game. No, let's play this prevent defense. We'll call it a zone, but nobody picks anybody up, and then it's boom, boom, boom. And the guy's wide open in the end zone. What the fuck was that? So it's getting hard. The totals, the only ones I think I like the Buffalo over because I think they're going to score 50 points on San Diego. Indy's an over team. I think the Detroit and Minnesota game's an over game. Washington's an over game. The Jets are an under team, so I don't know what to do with that one. Green Bay's an over, but Carolina can't score. Jacksonville, Tampa should be a high-scoring game. Jacksonville's an over team. The Bears are an over team with Arizona. I think that goes over. I think Dallas, Miami goes over. I think Miami has no defense, so Dallas should get better than 10 points. Give me a fucking break. Miami has no defense. But watching it, I don't know that Dallas has a defense. Watching what they did last week. So maybe they got a little this is a 50-point game down to 44. That's an over. Oakland KC's an under. The Giants Philly, I think, goes over. Philly has no defense. They're giving up 30 something a game, but the Giants with DeVito won't put up the 30, right? But Philly, I think, will just explode on the Giants. And Baltimore Frisco, I don't know what to do with the over under in that game. Because every time I look at Frisco's defense, but then there's the offense, and Lamar will get points. I think 39. I think this goes into the 40s. There's no way this isn't going 24-20 at least, if not more. So I think that's an over also. But I don't know. These unders, I got fooled on 2 of them last week. He hasn't played since he got clobbered by Myles Garrett. That's okay, Todd. It's just, they all tried to play at Iowa. But the Oak State quarterbacks never do anything in the pros either. There's another one besides Mason Rudolph. There's another one. There's another Oak State guy. I'll tell you, though, what I would do. If I was Carolina, I'd probably draft Ollie Gordon first. He's the running back, 1,600 yards, 20 touchdowns. I keep raving about from Oak State or the Texas Tech running back. I mean, I think you need balance. These guys thinking that they're going to run 4 wide receivers and throw and throw and throw. Yeah, and they win 3 games. Look at Arizona. All you see is Kyler Murray dancing around and Love dancing around and DeVito dancing around and Fields. And guess what? They don't win shit because you need to have Mahomes and you need Joe Burrow. Look at Lamar. I mean, Lamar. Yeah, get him in a playoff game and against a good defense, he doesn't do shit because he can't throw the ball. So, yeah, Baltimore looks good against these weak teams. We'll see. We'll see the real Lamar this week against the Niners. We'll see how the Niners just blitz him and he doesn't do shit, right? So we will see that. But let me continue. So Green Bay, 4.5, 36.5. 4.5, 36.5. I mean, the Green Bay needs it. Love, I don't know. Will Adam Jones play? I don't know. The other receivers, doubtful again. Love, who knows what he's going to do. Prescott gave us his 2 interceptions last week. I mean, Green Bay doesn't score that much. Their defense is okay. They should win. Now, again, it was a rainstorm in Carolina. That's why I bet it under because of the rainstorm, and that was smart. And the same thing with Miami. I had it under because of the 25-mile-an-hour wind and the Baltimore game. So the wind's helping me. I'm actually like betting the strong win under, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. Alex, Frank Harris, 2-play first quarter only. Well, why the first quarter? Why not the first half? I mean, that's strange. So they go up 14-0, and then he sits out. So he gets to play. I don't know what to think of that. First quarter only. What the fuck? I don't know what to do with that. So they're 9, and you know what? I'm going to save it for the Syracuse, South Florida over tomorrow, or South Florida. Yeah, I'll save it for the Georgia Tech UCF over. That's the problem with the bowls. This guy's going to play the first quarter only. What is that? What fucking idiots. All right. So Green Bay, 4.5, 36. Green Bay should win the game. You get 1.5 at Green Bay. Do I go over or under? I don't know. Carolina's so bad that I think Green Bay wins it. But the reason Atlanta didn't win was the weather. And then they bench Riddler. Why is Riddler on the team? Riddler sucks. At what point did you think Riddler was a good quarterback? I watched him at Cincinnati. He could barely beat Tulane and Tulsa. I never thought he was a good quarterback at all at Cincinnati. and yet they draft him and start him like he's good. Did you not see the Cincinnati college games? See, that's what it blows my mind. It's Davis Mills. He played at Stanford. He sucked, yet Houston starts him. Like, did you not see he sucked at Stanford? And he's not doing anything in the Pac-10. He's not going to do anything in the pros. At what point are you drafting this guy? Surely you could find many better quarterbacks than this guy. So 8 and 47.5. Well, now it becomes how good's the UTSA backup and how bad's the Marshall? Marshall's a bad team. I mean, Marshall gives up 28 a game. So they're not a good team. Their quarterback's out. And Ali probably, I don't know, let's say he doesn't play. I think it means a lot to UTSA, but if it keeps going down, I might have to bet UTSA laying 1. I mean, they're going to win the game. All right. Houston, 2.5, 42.5. Against Cleveland. This is confusing. Cleveland's pretty good, right? Flacco looks like better than he's ever looked. He hasn't played in, 2-3 years? And then Keenum. All right, he's okay. Probably better than Richardson. Both teams are 21 defenses, and I think this is a dog play, I would think. Cleveland's a very good team. Myles Garrett, I think they're a live dog for sure. Seattle, 2.5, 41.5 to Tennessee. Smith against Levis, I believe. Geno Smith or Locke. We would think Geno Smith's better. He got a pulled groin, but okay. Locke just beat Philadelphia, and Levis is also injured, so we'll see how injured he is. Big trend on Tennessee here, I think. Yeah, because Seattle's a road favorite. If Seattle turns a road dog, it's a big bet on Seattle. Defense, Seattle's a 25, Tennessee's a 22. I assume it's just give the ball to Derrick Henry and let him go. Now 7.5. You sound like, Alex, that movie, The Big Short, when they're sitting at the end of the movie in that bank, and the bank stock drops from 40 to 5, or actually I think it goes to 0. And they're just watching the stock go 40, now it's at 35, now it's at 30, now it's at 25, and everybody's leaving because they're out of work. That's what it sounds like. If you ever get a chance to watch that, it's a lot of these movies. I hate the gambling movies. They're so stupid. I was watching Rounders. Everything the guy says in Rounders is wrong. Everything he says, it wasn't a bad beat when I lost to Teddy KGB. It was just, I got outplayed. No, you didn't get outplayed. It was you had a full house. He had a higher full house. You did get a bad beat. You got outplayed. You didn't get outplayed. You had a bad beat. What are you going to do? Fold a full house with, 9 ace and there's nothing there? But you should have read the guy playing, and you guys are all professional poker players. You can't read the fucking Oreo cookie tell. He eats Oreos when he's got a hand. When he doesn't eat the Oreo. And you are such great players, you and Kanish and all these guys, and nobody can spot that that's the tell. Are you serious? Oh, my God. And then he tells him the tell. What a fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm going to put him on tilt and tell him his tell. Just – if he doesn't eat the Oreo, bet, and if he eats the Oreo, fold. I mean, you would have won your money back in 10 minutes. Unbelievable. Worst movie was terrible as far as poker and everything. If it goes to 6.5, I might tease it with UT. You might tease UCA with UT. Well, UTSA, you mean with South Florida or Georgia Tech over or whatever. It was a good movie, but from a poker standpoint, as a professional poker player, everything the guy says is wrong. I mean, and then they're playing with the cops and they're cheating. It's up $4,000. Why would you cheat? Why, when the guy sat down and you said, I'm going to play it honest, did you not get up and leave? What are you doing? And you're going to cheat in front of police. Yeah, that makes, what a fucking idiot that guy. I hate that Edward Norton. I can't watch Edward Norton movies. I'm watching that Score movie with him and Richard De Niro and Don Corleone. And I hate him in that movie. I can't stand the guy. What an idiot. But you think it's a great movie, but everything he says in it is wrong. You know, it just, he doesn't, his facts are way off. Never leave yourself. Oh, I didn't leave myself any outs. You had a full house. You didn't need outs. And you did have an out. If a 9 hits on the river, you win. That was your out. You just were so stubborn. You didn't know. You says, well, I don't make you for the flush. You had a full house. It's your call. There is no, what he calls timeout. There's no timeout in poker. Unbelievable. So many things wrong there. Anyway, Seattle 2.5, 41.5. I don't know. I just hate the road favorites, so it's hard for me to take Seattle here. Here's where I'll have to go to an over-under, but I got to figure that out. The JETSs are 337.5 against Washington, who's terrible. A Z team with a 30 defense. I don't know who the Jets quarterback. Wilson's questionable. It looks like Howell, but I would play Brissett. Why aren't they playing Brissett? He came in and looked pretty good. Howell's terrible. Wilson, he's not that bad, but they need to switch the offensive coordinator or get better plays in. I don't know. You don't get shut out by Miami with their defense. So hard to take the Jets as a favorite, even against Washington. Probably an under game in the fact that neither team can score, and the Jets have this great defense. So I don't know. Detroit 346.5 to Minnesota. I like the game over. I kind of like Minnie as 9. Minnie must win the game. So I like Minnie as a home dog. Detroit with no defense. They got a 30 defense. Minnesota, I thought, had a good defense until the end of the game. So I think Detroit scores a lot. It's what they do. And then Minnie, I think, with Jefferson back and Mullins, I think, can score. So I kind of like this game over first, and then the 9. The Lions, which team shows up? The team that scored 13 on the Bears or the team that scored 40 on my Denver team? You figure it out. Denver with a great defense. The Bears defense isn't that good. All right. Tampa Bay 1.5, 43.5 to the Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville as a dog here. I don't like Trevor Lawrence. All he does is run around. He's not a real good quarterback. But they do score, and I think they'll make the game close. I don't know how they score because Lawrence goes back and runs. He's really a terrible quarterback. Mayfield, okay. 43.5. I think they go over that. I think this over in the 37s. I mean, all we want is teams to score in the 20s will make a fortune, and half the teams don't even get 15 points a game. How the fuck can you not get 15 points a game in the NFL? And yet I was looking at my stats last night. There was at least 6 that do not have 15 points. Well, my Z teams, New England, Arizona, Carolina, Washington, don't score 15 points in the Giants. They don't either. They're like 13, 14, 15 points a game. How the fuck can you be this bad? And then when you look at college and you see Oregon scoring 45 and Alabama, well, they're like in the upper 30s, and Georgia in the 40s, and Missouri in the 40s, and Washington and USC in the 50s, and you're like, How can they do it in college and in the pros they can't score 15 points? Something doesn't add up here, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'll keep an eye on it. Okay, so I like the dog and the over with Tampa. Jacksonville. Again, it's preliminary. I haven't looked at the injuries yet. Miami 1.5, 51.5. Looking at this game, I absolutely like Dallas and I absolutely love the over. Miami has no defense, okay? Dallas, after getting killed by Buffalo, should come out and score a lot more against this weak Miami defense. Miami should be able to score, although we got to watch for Tyreek Hill. If he ain't playing, forget about it. But if he's playing, then it's an over. If he ain't playing, then Dallas and 7.5 is the play. I got Dallas -4. I'm not sure why Miami's favored. Dallas is the better team if they didn't have Prescott, that is. See, Dallas is really the one that should trade Prescott for somebody so they can get Caleb or Penix or somebody like that. Dallas should do that. They won't because they're too stupid. They're never going to win with Prescott. Never. With Caleb, they would have beat Buffalo, right? That's the difference. The Bears 4.5, 44.5 against Arizona. Arizona, the Z team. Murray against Fields. 27 defense against the 24. This is clearly an over game, and the Bears should win, but it's hard to bet on them. But they play very good at home, and as they saw, they beat Detroit at home. We'll just have to check the weather. I mean, if it's going to be it's cold and snowy here, which means it's cold and snowy in Chicago. Denver 6.5, 34.5 against the Z team, New England. Wilson against Zappi. I love Denver here. I'm not going to be stubborn, and they just lost me money in my lock, so I can't play them because they won me money on the 4 previous locks that I had them. I had them locked against Houston. I had them locked against San Diego. And they've been winning and winning and winning. So they're at home. They've been embarrassed by the Lions. Somehow they got killed. I don't know how. But I think they just play much better at home. Denver easily against New England. Yeah. KC 10 and 41.5. to Oakland. Love the game under. Strong defense, KC. Strong defense, Oakland. No offense on Oakland. KC struggles to get points. I don't know how you can lay 10 with Kansas City. They can't score. So it becomes the trend here is Oakland as a teaser getting the 16. But I don't think I'll pay much attention to that with O'Connell. O'Connell doesn't exist in the trends. This is the problem with my trends. This is the problem with your formulas, the algorithm people. Your algorithm's based on what? It ain't based on O'Connell because he's only played 3 or 4 games. So your algorithm's way off. It can't exist in this world unless you've got O'Connell in there, and you can't formula O'Connell because you don't know enough about him after 3 or 4 weeks to tell me that. So this is why all the algorithms are bullshit. But I like the under because KC's defense is that strong and they don't score. Philly 11.5. Wow, this went up. 11.5, 42.5. So the spread went up. The over/under went down against Danny DeVito and the Giants. Now Philly's lost 3 in a row. And they blew a game that, okay, I can understand them losing to Dallas and losing to Frisco. I can't understand them losing to Seattle the way they lost. I think that's ridiculous. They didn't score on them. They only had 17, and then they didn't score. 11.5. I mean, I can maybe tease it to 5.5, but I'm not comfortable. I think you go over because Philadelphia is an over team with a 25 defense, which is more like a 29 or 30. And the Giants, their problem is they don't have an offense, so their defense is pretty bad. I think Philly kills them because they've lost 3 in a row. They have to win. They're tied with Dallas to win the division. Is Slay playing? Don't know. You've got their defensive coordinator. Oh my God, he's terrible. Oh God, the name keeps coming in and out of my head. It doesn't want to stay in. No, get him out. He's a New England guy. This is their problem. Your defense sucks, so it's hard to lay 11.5, 5.5. What does DeVito do? Over under 42. All I need is 36. I'm going to get most of it by Philly. They should score a lot in the game. But the Giants could score off this bad defense. So we'll see. And last but not least, and now keep in mind, these last 3 games are on Christmas. So all the games are on Sunday. Then you got 3 games on Monday. You got Oakland KC is the 1:00 game. The Giants, the Eagles are 4:30. And then the night game on Monday night is Baltimore Frisco. What the fuck are they doing? You need 3 games Christmas Day? No, football's played on a Sunday. You have 1 Monday night game. You don't bring 3 games into Christmas Day. Unbelievable. Anyway, so 49ers 5.5, 46.5. I like it over because Frisco scores. Even though they have this great defense, they score. You can't stop McCaffrey. You can't stop Purdy, Kittle, Ayuk. All the skill is just too much. Baltimore with Lamar, they do score. They are scoring. The 16 defense, I don't think means anything against the Niners. You're not going to stop. The Niners are just – they can run McCaffrey and they can throw Purdy. It's the perfect offense. That is what I'm always looking for is they can run and they can throw, and good luck playing defense against it. You can't because you don't know – because they basically – USC, when they had in the 70s, it would be John McKay, and it would be basically – if they have 8 in the box, we're gonna throw it, and if they have 7 in the box, we're gonna run it, and that was all they did. So it was like you're telling us what we're doing. If you're putting more in the box, we're gonna throw it. If you got less, we're gonna run it. And I think it's unstoppable, and I think that's what the Niners are probably doing, something close to that. If you're gonna load up for McCaffrey, we're gonna throw it, and you really can't load up McCaffrey with Ayuk, with Deebo Samuel, with Kittle. And and McCaffrey out of the backfield, you can't load up on the run, so it makes McCaffrey run much better. So good luck with that. So in this, I like the over. Probably like the Niners. I think they handle Lamar, and the Niners are just when they want to like prove something here. Again, I don't like all this. They played Philly, they played Dallas, they played Baltimore, they played Buffalo. It's too much. It's not, because then the lesser teams are getting into the playoffs because like Buffalo, their record doesn't indicate how good they are. But when you look at their schedule, no wonder they've only won 8 games. So that's it. The Niners, they're both A teams. So let's go to the playoff picture. NFL standings. All right. So we've got Miami in at 10-4 with Baltimore 11-3. So Miami needs to win for the 1 seed. We know Dallas needs to win without looking. Okay. Buffalo against San Diego needs the game at 8-6. So now I throw out the Jets at 5-9. The best they can do is 8-9. I'm throwing them out. Baltimore needs the win, as the Niners do, for the 1 seed. Cleveland and Cincinnati are really in it. I'm not sure about Pittsburgh at 7-7. So they got to go 10-7, which is still a chance, especially if they beat Cincinnati. So we'll give a little bit of Pittsburgh still in. Look at this AFC South. Jacksonville, Indy, and Houston are all 8-6. Good Lord, what a bunch of horse shit that division is. All right, and is Tennessee available? They could go 8-9, but I can't see all three of the teams at 8-6 losing. You've already got Cleveland at 9 wins, so they can't catch them, and Buffalo's 8-6. They're not going to catch them, so you're going to have the 9-win team. So I'm going to say Tennessee's out. They could go to 8-9. Can they win their division at 8-9? I don't see how all three of these teams lose all three of their games, and if one of them wins, that's 9 wins. So I'm going to say Tennessee's out, and then KC and Denver need it. Denver can still win the division at 10-7, and they can catch the 8-6s. Cleveland with 9, they can get the 10-7, and Buffalo's 8-6. So I'm going to say Denver's still in it. I'm going to say Vegas is out at 9-8. Yeah, they could tie KC. I can't see KC losing their last 3. They showed like their schedule, and they play a bunch of shit teams, and they got like San Diego with sticks, so they're going to win those. And Kansas City's still going for the 1 seed. They're 2 games behind Baltimore and 1 game behind Miami, who is the worst 10-4 team I've ever seen. All right, let's go to the NFC. Dallas and Philly are both up for the division. The Giants are out at 5-9. Detroit's in at 10-4. Then so that's 1 wild card, Dallas or Philly. And then we've got the 7-win teams. So is Minnesota at 7-7? Yeah, so Minnesota must win. Green Bay at 6-8 can go to 9-8, but there's too many 7-7. There's 2, 4, 5, 7-7 teams. They're going to have to catch. They're going to have to beat 2 of them. So I don't know. Is Green Bay still liable or in there? We'll say yes. Tampa, New Orleans, and Atlanta trying to win their division. Atlanta, Tampa, New Orleans. Okay. So Tampa or New Orleans is going to win the division. The other one could win the wild card. Again, 10-7. There's only 1 team, Philly and Dallas at 10-4. So you got 7-7 mini, 7-7 Tampa, New Orleans, 7-7 the Rams in Seattle. 2 of those teams are getting in, so we don't know who yet. And can Minnesota catch Detroit then? So if they win all their games, they go 10-7. The Lions would lose. They'd be 10-6. If they lost to Dallas, they'd be 10-7. Minnesota would have beat them twice. So I think Minnesota can still win the division at 10-7. Green Bay can't. And then we got Tampa, New Orleans, Atlanta, which I think we already got. And then we've got Frisco, the Rams, and Seattle. Frisco, Seattle, and the Rammies. Where are the Rammies? Yeah, okay, we already got that. So really, Arizona's out, Carolina's out. The Bears can only go 8-9. There's just no way. There's too many. There's two. Philly and Dallas with 10 wins. So there's two openings, and so the Bears would have to go 8-9, and you got 5 teams at 7-7. All right, 1 wins the South. But then you got the Rams in Seattle and Minnesota all have to lose out. So the Bears can win it at 8-9. It's just there's no way. And Washington at 4-10, the Giants at 5-9. So it's pretty pathetic. That's that. Let's go to RotoWire and we'll see what we believe, injuries and everything. Roto Wire. All right, NFL lineups. Carr against Stafford. Okay, that's what we expect. Olave's questionable. Is it? The game's at LA. I would think LA wins this game. I think they're just. I would bet Stafford over that. I think have any chance Olave's got to play. They brought a pretty good defense to handle DeVito, so we will see. Pitt, Cincinnati. We got Browning against Pickett. So they're going with Pickett, I guess, if you can. Not Trubisky, not Rudolph. So Pickett's going to try to play. This will be interesting. And Chase is questionable with the shoulder. So we really need Chase for Cincinnati to bet him. I think he'll play. He's such a good receiver. Yeah, I mean, even with Browning's lighting it up, but throwing to Chase. Buffalo, San Diego. We got Josh Allen against Stick. Huge ad for Baltimore, for Buffalo. Keenan Allen, questionable. Well, if Keenan Allen's out, Buffalo's going to kill him. Even if he plays, San Diego's got a 25 defense. A lot after this Oakland 80-point game. And Buffalo with the good defense held that. It'll be nice weather. Josh, I think Buffalo has to win. Their backs are against the wall. They've got that mindset. They're 8-6. They know they got to get to 11 to have any chance. To look for Buffalo. San Diego's terrible. Indy, Atlanta. We got Minshew against Heineken. Taylor's going to try to come back, and Pittman's going to try to come back. But they won without Taylor and Pittman. Brooks Robinson, and then London and everything else. So Atlanta's just badly coached. I like Indy as the dog here. I think they're much better. Now forget Taylor because she didn't play, but Pittman we'll see. Indy seems to be able to score. I don't know if it's the coach, the coordinator, but they averaged 20. They average 26, 27 a game, and they give up 25. So they play higher scoring games. So the question is, will Atlanta play a game with Heineke? I don't know. That we'll dig into. Green Bay, Carolina, we got Love against Steve Young. Jones is probable. Watson and Reed, questionable. I don't know if they played last week. Carolina, the worst team in college football. They wouldn't make a bowl game in college ball. I think Green Bay, they must win to have any hope. So 4.5, I think Green Bay wins. Cleveland, Flacco against maybe Stroud. Stroud's questionable. Or they got Keenum. Nico Collins is questionable, and everybody's good for Cleveland. So I like Cleveland as the dog here. I'm very confused why they're the dog. I guess because they think Stroud will play, but Stroud doesn't do anything. Detroit, Minnesota, Goff against Mullins. Excuse me. Goff against Mullins. It's a toss-up. But Montgomery playing. So the Lions will score a lot. Matheson is questionable. Jefferson's going to play, and Addison. So I look for Minnie to score. I look for this to be over. I preferred playing Detroit over than the team because now look at last week. Had I just played it over and I liked it over, I would have locked the over in one instead of locking Denver. It's just they score a lot, and they're just an over team. So it's best to play a team like Detroit over because you never know what the fuck you're getting. Washington, Jets, Sam Howell against Zach Wilson. Not Brissett. Wilson's questionable, but I'm sure he'll play. We'll find out. This is I don't know. I don't know that the Jets are better than Washington or not. Good defensive team. Seattle, Tennessee, we got Russell Wilson. No, Russell. We got Geno Smith against Levis. So not locked. They're going with Geno. And Levis is questionable. Probably play. Everybody else is good. Metcalf and Lockett and Walker for Seattle and Henry and Hopkins for Tennessee. So should be interesting. Jacksonville, Tampa, Lawrence against Mayfield. Lawrence is questionable, but he'll be playing. I think it's a concussion this time. And then Mayfield and everybody on Tampa's good. This is a dead even game. I like the dog, and I think I like it over. If Lawrence plays, I like it over more. Tampa put up 40 on Green Bay or 35, and Jacksonville's defense doesn't impress me. Arizona, Chicago, Kyler Murray against Fields. Everybody's healthy for the Bears. And M. Brown, whoever that is questionable for Arizona. I don't think he played last week. This game's, I think, over. I think Kyler Murray will run around, but their defense is terrible. Fields will run around, so it's supposed to be right. Well, I don't know if this is today or Sunday. It's 50 degrees with 12-mile-an-hour winds. So we'll keep an eye on that. If it stays warm, well, 12-mile-an-hour winds isn't a big deal because these quarterbacks are just going to run anyway. We'll see. Dallas, Miami, Prescott against Tag in 15-mile-an-hour winds, which isn't a big deal here. If it gets much higher, fine. Again, Tyreek Hill's questionable. Everybody else is playing for both teams, Prescott and Tagliabue. New England, Denver, Zappy against Russell Wilson are the quarterbacks. Stevenson's questionable, and Smith-Schuster and Hunter Henry. Triple H for New England, and everybody for Denver is healthy, and I looked for Denver to be pissed off and at least try very hard. Hopefully that turns into a win. 36 degrees in Denver and 11-mile-an-hour wind, so that's okay at this point. Oakland at KC, you could get weather here. 11-mile-an-hour wind, 54. But again, I bet that's today. O'Connell against Mahomes. Josh Jacobs is questionable, as is Pacheco. Neither of them played last week. Didn't really. They got chocolatey clear Kansas City, so that's fine. So 10 and 42. So again, we'll keep our eye on the wind and the weather. Will it stay 54, and will the wind stay at 11? See, I thought this was like, here's Saturday's forecast, and it's not. There was no rain in the Baltimore game. I thought it'd be a lot of rain. In the Philly game, I think it did rain a little, but really nothing there. The Giants and Philly, Danny DeVito against Hurts. Everybody's healthy. Barkley, Slayton against Swift and A.J. Brown. No injuries there. No weather to worry. 6-mile-an-hour wind and nothing. 50 and 6 if this is game time. I'll have to go to the weather and just verify, because this is misleading if you think this is what you're getting. Baltimore and the Niners, no wind, no rain. 54, light wind. Lamar, everybody's healthy. Against Purdy, everybody's healthy. So not a problem with the weather or the injuries there. All right, so let's review. We got New Orleans, LA playoff game. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh playoff game. Buffalo, San Diego, Buffalo do or die. Backs against the wall. Indy, Atlanta playoff game. Seattle, Tennessee. Really, it's Seattle, Tennessee, really out of it. And then Seattle with the big win. Look for them, but I don't like them as the road favorite. Detroit, Minnesota playoff game. But Detroit, well, from what it looks like, they need the game for the just to win the division. Minnesota needs the game for the playoffs. A little bit different. Washington and the Jets. It's a terrible game. Green Bay, Carolina. Green Bay needs it. Cleveland, Houston, playoff game. They both need it. Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, playoff game. They both need it. Arizona, Chicago, they both suck. Dallas, Miami, playoff game. Dallas can win their division. They're tied with Philly. Miami is a game up on Buffalo, or 2 games up on Buffalo, and they're a game behind Baltimore, who will probably lose to the Niners. So Miami, can you imagine Miami with the 1 seed with this defense? Oh my God. New England, Denver needs the game. New England's gone. Oakland, KC needs the game. Oakland's gone. The Giants, Philly needs the game. The Giants are gone. And Baltimore, Frisco is a playoff game. And Frisco at home, look out. So that's what we have. And now we do our little studying and our gut feel. I've already done teaser trends. So the 5 teams to take in a teaser, if you just take, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Philly, Houston, and Seattle are like 90% in a teaser this year or this year and last. So like Philadelphia's like 13-1 in a teaser this year. Yeah, they lost, but I had 2.5, so plus 3.5, they win. And that's what I'm looking at. So yes, Minnesota and Philly are very strong in teasers. Play against, these are teams that if I got the game, I bet against, I win. Carolina, Washington, again, the shitty teams. Arizona, New England, San Diego, and KC. So KC over spread. Chicago, New Orleans, and Atlanta. So why is KC on the list? Because they make them 10 point. They care. They're 10-point favorites to Oakland. They win the game by 7. They're happy they won. They don't cover. Or they if you take the 16 in the teaser, you win. Or if you lay the 4 in the teaser, you win. But that's why KC's on there, because they're always laying 10 or 11 with Mahomes. Otherwise, Chicago stinks. New Orleans terrible. Arizona's terrible. Atlanta, all the bad teams you bet against, all the good teams you bet on. And when the good teams play each other, normally you tease the dog. But unless you got Dak Prescott, then you get the hell out of the way. So that's what we got for week 16. So there's 3 weeks left, week 17 and week 18. But look at all the money. I mean, I told you the story about Germany. I asked the guy at the hotel, "Are you going to turn on the NFL?" And he says nobody likes it. We all want to watch soccer. Nobody wants it. Why is there 2 games in Frankfurt if nobody watches it? I mean, it's so stupid. Let's play in Japan. Nobody cares. Nobody knows what football is. But you know what? We're going to go there because they're going to pay us to go, even though we won't have anybody in the crowd except for the people we give free tickets to, I assume. I assume they give the tickets away in London and Germany also. So that is football. College is a mess. Oh, Frank Harris is going to play a quarter. Well, let me bet that game. What do you do with that mess? So we need next year, when they have 12 playoff teams, there'll be at least 6 games we can bet on that we know. Right now, Alabama's your free pick, beating Michigan. They're getting 1.5. We tease it to 7.5. And that's where you go. So that one I know. I'm getting Milrose. I'm getting my coach. I'm getting my defense. They're all going to play the whole fucking game. So I'm pretty confident with Alabama. Michigan, they played 1 game. That was against Ohio State, and they won by 6. That's it. That's the only game they played all year. Penn State, Maryland certainly lost to fucking Illinois. I'm not going to count that win as a big win. And that's what you got. Where are we at now, Alex? Is UTSA down to 5? I mean, this is hysterical. Um, all right, what are we looking at? I had something on economics, prices. Oh, okay. So I'm in the car, going to swim and back, and they're talking about the Lions raising their ticket prices. How do we incorporate that into economics? Well, why are the Lions raising ticket prices? Because they had a good year and people are going to pay to go to the games. And so they think they can charge more because they have a good product. So did they lower their prices when their product sucked for the last 60 years? No, you can go or you cannot go. Do you have this much money that you can just pay another couple thousand to go see the Lions and not feed the family? So wait till everybody understands the mess we're in, that the dollar's worthless. Wait till they get this, right? Huge inflation that hasn't gone anywhere. Huge recession, as we talked about yesterday. People will lose their jobs soon. The money's worthless. I went to Germany 2 weeks ago, and basically, you it cost me $230 to get 200 euros out of the ATM. Should have cost me 200, and it should have been 105. I think it's 95 to buy a euro. For some reason, the euro is more valuable than the dollar, even though the dollar is a reserve, which I don't understand. But the point was that it was, I think the total was $230 to get 200 euros once the ATM fee and shit like that. So nobody wants the dollar. All these countries want out, but there's nowhere to go. I can't get out of the dollar for the euro or the Swiss franc or the British pound. They're not better currencies. So I'm stuck in dollars if I'm in Argentina or Brazil or Mexico or any of these other countries. I'm stuck in dollars until our friend Putin comes out with a gold-backed BRICS currency. Then I can buy that, and it's gold, and I'm all happy. They understand all the central banks are buying gold, and I'm sure all the banks are buying gold. I'm sure in Switzerland, Credit Suisse or the RGB bank is buying gold. I mean, that doesn't have to be the central bank. They all understand they're fucked, and they all understand the only way out is gold. So with that in mind, you're in dollars. So all these people, now the Lions raise their ticket prices, $1,000 a year. Some guy, well, I'm paying 3,000 now for a couple seats, and it's going to be 4,500. Now, my thought is you can either go or not go. But if you decide to go, that's money you can't get back. You don't have a money tree. When you got to feed your family, what are you going to do? It's not gold. You're buying season tickets to the Lions. And if they start off 0-4, you give them away, which is what happens most of the time. They're really not a good team, but you think they are because they had such a weak schedule. You're not understanding that they had the best team they beat was Denver, right? That's the best team they beat. Kansas City didn't count because they didn't have Kelsey and the defensive linemen. Otherwise, they beat San Diego, who sucks. They beat Oakland, who sucks. Okay, so Denver was your best team. You played good teams like Baltimore, you lost. Chicago, Green Bay, you lost. So not really good. Seattle. So you really haven't played anybody. And believe me, winning your division, you get to play the big boys next year. You're not going to win 5 games next year when you go up against good opponents. You're good against shit opponents. So what do I do with this? I don't substitute. I don't go to the Michigan or Michigan State game instead of the Lions, which is what you should do. So there's a big expense that you've added that you'll never get back. You're not going to get a raise. The money you got is losing value. So you're going to need more money to go buy groceries, pay your rent, pay your utilities, which you've got in the Lions. Now you're banking the fact that you have a job at GM or Ford. Well, wait, they're cutting off because they can't sell electric cars. So they got this cost of the electric cars, the new plant, the new facilities, everything they needed to revamp for electric, but nobody's buying. Nobody's buying regular cars because it's when I went to the Toyota dealership for my oil change, it's $900 a month for the Camry that I paid $470 a month for. That's $500 more a month for your car payment. Who the fuck has that? You're paying 8-9%. And that's probably if you have really good credit. If you don't have good credit, you're probably paying 10-11% for your loan. And then I'm reading that the Lions are like offering a payment plan. Payment plans are for like houses and cars. You don't have $35,000 to buy a car. So I'm going to go pay you a monthly payment of so much for 5 years or something. Mine was 60 months, but I paid it in, I think, 2.5 years, maybe 3. So you have this problem. So people are actually going to go on a payment plan, and it's $4,000 or $5,000 for the year, which they're going to divide by 12. They're going to lose their job, which they don't realize. So they're thinking everything's the same because these people are so fucking stupid. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand that it causes a recession and a depression. And in Detroit, where it's all automotive, all the automotive companies are going to be going broke because who the fuck's going to buy a car? Okay, you couldn't sell them at $400 a month. It's $900, $1,000 a month to buy a car. You got a line for people buying cars, maybe for used cars. So when I asked the Toyota, are you selling anything? He says, we're selling a little because people need transportation. Well, there's Uber. Okay, forget Uber. There's no buses here. There's very few taxis here. Basically, Ford and GM want you to buy cars. This is the problem with Michigan versus Europe. In Germany and Switzerland, you get on a tram and you get on a bus and off you go. That doesn't exist here. So if you're not selling the cars, you're laying off, right? Ford and GM laying off because they can't sell electric vehicles to save their ass. There's just so many problems with electric, but yeah, especially here, it's cold. If the car doesn't work and the electricity and the battery gets too cold and doesn't start, you're dead because the car door won't open because it's electric. Right now in my Camry, if I can pull the key out, I open the door. These electric cars are so stupid that they're all electric, right? So if the battery dies, you can't get out of your car. Who the fuck is making this incredibly stupid decision? So you can't sell the cars, but your costs are high because you've transferred from gas to electric. You're all going out of business. You're fucked. So all the people in Detroit are mostly working at the autos are all going to be laid off. How are you going to pay your Lions ticket? Wait, I got a family. I need to feed them, and I need to pay the mortgage and the utilities, which are all going up. Or I have Lions tickets. So I don't know who in God's name is stupid enough to go to the Lions game in the first place. And then they give you a price increase and everybody accepts it. What a bunch of morons. This is why they don't buy gold. They're too stupid. These people, I wouldn't go to a Lion game unless you paid me for the ticket and you paid. I wouldn't need the parking because I'd park at MGM and walk. It's about a 10-minute walk. I would only do that, but I would never pay for the ticket. Never, ever. You'd have to pay for my ticket. I used to go when I was a kid, Thanksgiving. One of my dad's friends had a steel company, so he had like 10 tickets. So he would take us Thanksgiving, and we would go to the game with him. That's the only way I'm going is somebody's giving me a ticket. I am not paying for the ticket. I would much rather buy gold and silver. These people are so idiots. $4,500, you could buy 2 ounces of gold and never have to work again a day in your life, or you can go to a Lions game with the $4,500. So this is how my thinking is. I don't even go play poker anymore because I would rather just buy silver and just wait for it to go up in price because I can't lose there. I can lose in the poker room, and we know it's not a sure thing. Where if I buy gold and silver, I can't lose, and it's going to go through the roof. So that's what I have. But I can't believe. So when I talk about it, the market, you substitute, right? The one steak's too much, you get the other steak. The chicken is, the fish. All I know is salmon's like $15-$20 a pound at my grocery store. I don't buy it. I'm not paying $20 for farm raised salmon. It's going to kill me anyway. So I end up buying chicken, and if I want a treat, I buy a $10 steak, or I buy a lot of hamburger, and that's fine. I'm going to make hamburger after class. I'm making hamburger, but that's where you're at, and I don't get these people ignoring all the signs to spend another couple grand on Lions tickets. Lions ticket, first of all, it's on TV. Second of all, it's not a need, it's a want. And they're not buying one ticket. They're like, I'm taking my family, or it's usually like 3 or 4 tickets. So I just it was a shake my head moment, Bobby, that people would take the price increase. Well, from what I'm hearing on this radio show, oh yeah, it went up $2,000, but it's the Lions. It's the first time they've been good since 1957. How do you root for a team that has sucked for 70 years? You're going to root for them? They've given you nothing on the product, and they won't sign their players. So enjoy it all this year. So I'm just scratching my head. The other thing I don't understand is gas is like $2.60 a gallon here. What the fuck? Why is it so cheap? I assume they think it's inflation. So if the gas is cheaper, the prices come down, makes the inflation look lower because they don't measure dollars, they measure prices, which is not how you measure inflation. Again, it's the printing of money, and you haven't reduced the printing of money, so the money is still worthless. So I don't know what they're thinking, but everything they do is about getting elected. The people, morons. We'll call them senators and governors. Gold. Gold is 2040, up $12 today. Paper. Silver 2406. Now notice at 10 o'clock it went up, it didn't go down. I always think that's a good thing because normally they price it down at 10 o'clock, and for it to go up at 10 o'clock was really strange. But 2040, keep an eye on that. But again, that's paper gold. We don't really care. It's not a real price. And for some reason, the idiots priced physical gold in paper. And I love it, especially when I go buy gold and silver and I go, do you realize you're selling the physical gold at paper gold prices? And they just look at me like the deer in the headlights. What do you mean? Gold's $2,000 an ounce. Okay. And I saw on eBay today, all of it's like $21.50 to $21.80 for your Cougaran, your Maple Leaf, the dollar, the Eagle. So it's getting close to 2,200. We've got to break away from COMEX, and it's coming soon. Another few weeks, Russia takes over BRICS. Russia needs a gold-backed currency. Look for this to all happen in January. And that's, I think, where we're headed. January, February, you'll start seeing it break loose. The U.S. has control of the dollar, and it can't compete with gold, so they keep pushing the gold price down. But as you can see, they're struggling doing that because it's the wrong thing to do, and the derivatives. You can only push the price down so much, and then people go, I'm going to buy it there. and then they start buying it, and then there's no more gold left. So once the gold leaves COMEX, it's all done. And then we see hopefully free market gold, which is what I'm banking on. And then you put a zero at the end of the 2000, and then we'll be fine. That's what I'm waiting for. So hoping for that. I was reading my notes yesterday, my econ notes, and there's some good ones I got to read. Liquidity Trap, Value of Money. Haven't read it yet, so I don't want to talk about it until I fully read it and understand it. Hoping to go to Turkey near New Year's. Daria's waiting on her passport. So once she gets it, I can book it. I can't. There's no sense booking it if she doesn't have her passport, because she can't get into Turkey without a passport, and hers expired. So we will see. So soon. So we're excited about that. What else? So just understand it's free market economics is what you want. You want to be the market. You want to be in charge of it. And that's not what we have with gold. It's not free market economics. eBay is free market. So my Montana rookie at 125 grand is free market. And that's where gold is being really manipulated by the paper price. And nobody will kind of figure out, wait a minute, this is paper price gold. We need to, but if I try to auction off an ounce for 25,000, which is probably the real value, because of the competition at 2000, I couldn't sell it. And that's really what the problem is. So we just can only wait. But as I said yesterday, we take advantage of this low price. So we understand the price is low, right? We get that silver is not 25 an ounce. It's being suppressed by the derivatives, not the market, not free market, where somebody think like, right? So when I bid this and you buy it, and this, so you say, I'll give you $100 for it. That's free market. And silver is not free market. They're not, it's not a $25 an ounce thing, but because of the paper and the derivatives, they're keeping the price, they're suppressing the price. So as long as you understand that, we should be making a fortune. I know we get frustrated. Why isn't the price higher? But on the other hand, oh, well, if they're going to wait and keep the price low, I might as well buy a lot more. And that's what you need to think about. Not when will the price go up. That's good too, but also, oh, good, we get to buy more silver at 24, 25 an ounce, and more gold at, now it's 21.50 an ounce. That's starting to go. And once we realize that, then so look at it as the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to buy silver and gold at these prices, realizing it's not going to stay, because our friends in Russia and China want to have a BRICS dollar backed by gold, because all these countries holding the dollar can't get out of the dollar without going somewhere. So it's like you're dating a girl, but you don't like her anymore. So you don't want to leave her until you got another girl, right? And that's kind of what it is. So if I'm Brazil, I don't want the dollar anymore. I want to dump her, but there's nowhere to go. So I'm going to hold it for a little bit. And that's the exact scenario. So BRICS will come out. It's a gold-backed currency. Then I feel comfortable going, oh, good, they can't fuck around. Because I don't trust Russia and China, but I trust gold. And that's what will happen. And since Russia and China own all the gold, they own 100,000 tons of it, they can make gold-backed currency and charge a nice, I don't know if we'll get to 20,000 right away, but again, it'll be 10. But then again, it's once the people realize on the Titanic, the boat's sinking, there's the frenzy to get off the boat. And that's what you're going to have. There's going to be a frenzy to get out of the dollar and the frenzy to buy gold and silver, because that's your only out. And since silver's so cheap, that's where it'll start. people will buy the silver because it's so cheap. And that's why they say it'll rise faster. Well, it's only going to rise faster because it's so cheap. But there's a lot more silver than gold. But gold's king. You want to own gold. Like I said, the salesman at Toyota, I got 100 grand. I said, buy 75,000 in gold and 25,000 in silver. He was happy with it. He said, okay, great, thanks. And that's what I would recommend, 3-to-1 gold to silver, because gold's going to move a lot. When gold moves, it moves from 2,000 to 10,000. Silver is going to go from 25 to 500, which is a nice percentage move, but it's still not anything where gold goes in thousands. So 2 to 5 is a lot smaller percentage, but a lot better. Now I got 5,000 worth of gold, where the silver goes from 25 to, let's say, 500. Percentage wise, it's great, but it's only worth 500. So that's why I suggest more gold and silver. It's the gold standard. Bricks will be backed by gold, and the silver goes too. They both go. They're both real money, and you can't inflate them. You can't print them. Just the paper shit. So the paper, the derivative paper is strictly them inflating gold by saying there's more of it because they are selling these derivatives even though they don't have any gold for the derivative. Understand the derivatives are bullshit. They're not real. It's not the real price. And we're just waiting for it to be blown up, because as Russia and China come out with the gold record, they're going to raise the price of gold because they're going to want to get gold. Russia and Saudi Arabia are selling their oil for gold. Well, they want a lot more. They don't want the paper, and they want more gold. They want a better price on gold for their oil. So it's starting to, here we go, and you just got to be patient. So at this point, just finish up with your gold and silver buy. Christmas, everybody gets gold and silver. That's my Christmas tree. Everybody gets, open your present now, Johnny. And there's, dad got me an ounce of gold and dad got me an ounce of silver. I mean, that's Christmas. It's funny how everybody knows it. Everybody, you give them gold, they're excited. And be careful, as we talked about Bitcoin yesterday, don't think it's going to help you. It's not. It's, first of all, it's not, we don't know what the real price is. It's not being manipulated, but we don't know how the price gets, it's not a real supply demand price. We don't even know how to bid on it, right? I can go to the store and buy gold, and it won't make the price of gold go up because of the derivatives. So the price of gold goes down because of the derivatives. But if the derivatives weren't there, the price of gold would go up because I'm buying it. There's demand for it. There's huge demand for gold and silver. I don't know the demand for Bitcoin, but it's not real. It's not money. It's not real. I don't know what it is. Nobody can explain it to me. That's why I read the definitions yesterday. And basically, just stop fucking around. Just get into gold and silver. It's been suppressed, but it will go up to its normal state. And that's why I tell it to you. It's the only thing that hasn't gone up yet. So it's being held down, but it's being suppressed on purpose, price control, price fixed on purpose. That's about to blow up. That's why I tell you gold and silver, where Bitcoin's already gone. It's in the 40,000s. So it's already gone. It's not going anywhere. Where gold is 2,000, going to 100, going to 50. I mean, it's about to go. Silver's at 25. Shit, that's 25 going to 2,000. So that's another reason to be in it, because it's, the only problem is it's money, and the people with the dollars are freaking out. So all the JP Morgans, which are in this euro, dollar, same thing, the paper bullshit, they're the ones freaking out because this can't compete with gold because they keep printing it. So keep that basic concept in your mind, in your head. Explain it to people who look at you like you're crazy for buying gold and silver, that, well, they're printing the dollars to zero. Once you understand that, then can they understand it? So when Bobby and all our class try to explain it to their families, hey, come on, I'm going to go buy silver, and they look at you like you're crazy because you're not explaining it right. You got to explain it as they print the dollar to zero. So by holding dollars, you're fucked. Only holding gold and silver, which hasn't gone up yet, is where you need your money. So people don't understand the dollar's going to zero. The dollar has no value. That's the key point here. But who's going to tell you that? Besides me, you can watch the news and whatever, CNN, CNBC, CCC, the Communist News Network, the Chinese news. Nobody's going to tell you that, but that's what's happening. Yeah, sort of like 9/11. Nobody's going to tell you it's a gold robbery. You'll just have to watch the planes. You have to watch the buildings being blown up and then try to figure that out. But that's basically what's going on. It's very corrupt, but if we understand it, we can take advantage of the cheap silver and gold price in paper price, not in physical. So once COMEX blows up, they won't be able to do the derivatives. They won't be able to keep the price low, and then it starts moving. And Mark McGuire said last week it would have went up to 2,500, but there was some bullshit going on. And that's what we're fighting, is the bullshit that keeps going on, but that's okay. The bullshit keeps going on. And but we understand it is. We understand it's not going to be clean. The government is going to fight to keep the gold price low because they'll expose the dollar as worthless, and they don't want to expose it as worthless. But obviously, they know it's worthless because they want to keep gold down. So why, if you think gold is worthless, why would you keep gold price down? Let the gold price run to where it needs to. But no, they keep suppressing it, and they keep printing derivatives to keep the price down. That would only be done by somebody who's scared of realizing that the dollar can't compete, and we better keep the gold and silver price low. That's why they're doing it. They're scared. Otherwise, they don't keep, the Joe Montana rookie, it's 125,000. They don't suppress that price. They don't suppress Canadian Club 12 or the Mahomes. This card's not suppressed. This card, put it on eBay, it gets free market. It's 50 count. Whatever it draws from the buyer is what it draws. That's free market. You're not getting that. They're not printing derivatives to keep the Mahomes price down or the Montana price down. Only gold and silver. So you have no idea what the real price is, but it's much higher than 2,000 for gold, right? The price is really 20,000, and that's where I get it from, because it's been suppressed, and if it's been suppressed, there's no way it's still 2,000. But you can see they're afraid to let it go, because if they didn't do the derivatives and they just let it go, it would be much higher. Obviously, that's why they're scared. So if they're scared, give me more. So again, Christmas, go buy gold and silver. Have a wonderful, put it under the Christmas tree. And just people think it won't go up, and that's where you need to explain it. But I have yet to give Jenna gold, and she didn't like it. She made a comment to me today. She says, let's see. She says, who not like gold? I made a comment about gold, and she says, who doesn't like gold? That was her comment, right? She's in the Ukraine. Who doesn't like gold? And that's really the bottom line of it is, you don't want to be caught short, but don't let your spouse talk you out of it. Like the guy at Toyota, well, my wife wouldn't let me buy it. Oh, well, who's running your family? And if your wife's running your family, she needs to buy gold and silver then. But see, that's the point. People are worried. Well, you're fucked if you hold the dollar, right? If you keep holding this, it has no value now, right? You're holding it for what? Right? It's being inflated, it's being printed, and the more it gets printed, the less it's worth. You go to the grocery store, $100 barely buys anything. That's the dollar going down in value. Kroger's raised their prices. Everybody's pissed. No, they didn't. This is going down in value. It takes more of this to buy the meat at Kroger's. So the risk is holding this before it goes to zero, right? So if you keep holding it, this won't be worth anything. But if I trade it for gold and silver, then I get out of this and I have the gold and silver. Now, okay, you're worried. What if I need money? Well, then you can take an ounce of gold, go back to the coin store. He'll give you $2,000-$3,000 for it. He'll be happy to take it because he's got a line a mile wide of people wanting to buy the gold and silver. So he takes it with no problem. He'll give you a spot for it, but that's okay. But that's your risk. Your risk is what? You're risking so the play is the dollar's going to zero. The risk is what? I have gold. What's your risk? You have gold. You have no risk. They can't inflate it. It can't go to zero. And it's going to go through the moon because they're suppressing it. We're just waiting for the suppression to end. So you have no risk in something that's going to pay you back 100, 500% return with no risk. Where are you going to find that? And so if you need the money, so in my case, I've got a lot of gold and silver, and I've kept out a little bit of money so I don't have to cash my gold and silver in at these prices. But if I ever had to, back to the coin store, here's an ounce of gold, give me back $2,000, $3,000, and I get the money. So I have no risk. My opportunity is a huge reward because the gold price goes up. And now if the gold price goes up, I make a lot of money. And the gold price can't go down. And so I have no risk. My risk is holding dollars. This is my risk, is holding this. So once I get out of this and I'm in gold, I have no risk. This is why I take you to Attack on Wall Street, where the guy bought $60,000 worth of REITs, real estate trust, people with mortgages. So if people pay their mortgage, they take the money and they give you part of it. And that's how you make your money on real estate trust, on the mortgages, and people paying their mortgages. But what happened to them? Nobody paid because they couldn't afford the rate increases. And they went to zero. And all of a sudden, the 60,000s were zero. That's the same risk you have, is that the dollar doesn't have a value, goes to zero. You're fucked. Now what are you going to do? You can't buy gold now. The dollar won't have value, and the gold price will be 10,000 an ounce. You're fucked. You buy it now, you really have no risk. As I said, it can't go to zero. Especially, you've got to buy the coins or the bars. Do not buy ETFs. They are not gold. It's not going to help you. It's not going to save you. ETFs are just a Ponzi scheme. Gold stocks, same thing. You've got the gold in the mine, but you don't own the gold, and you're not going to get the gold. You want to have physical. You want to have the gold physically, not in an ETF, not in a stock. So once you understand that, then you hold the gold, and it can never go to zero. Nobody can ever say it's not worth anything, and nobody knows you have it, which is the beautiful part of it. So keep that in mind. Your risk is holding the dollar, right? So it'd be like, do I have a risk holding the Mahomes 50 count card? Do I have a risk here? Not really. It's Mahomes. He's won 2 Super Bowls, maybe wins the 3rd this year. There's only 50 of them. You can't inflate the card by printing more. can't be all of a sudden 2,000 of these. There are only fucking 50 of these. So I got a very limited thing. The more limited, the more it's worth. Oh, you mean when they print 10 trillion of these, it's not limited, therefore it's not worth anything? Maybe now you get it. Now the light goes on. 50 count, it's worth a lot. 10 trillion count, it's not worth anything. That's about as simple as I can make it. That's why they number these baseball cards. They number it so you know it's limited and you know it'll have a value. And then you add Mahomes on top of it. So that's really the point of it, of the numbered cards, is to show you it's limited, because things that are more limited are worth a lot more. That's why if you're going for a job, the more your skill is and the more limited that people can do your job, then the more money you make. So if you're some sort of scientist or a programmer who only knows Microsoft, whatever, and there's only 10 people in the world that can do it, you get paid a lot more money. But if you're, working at the grocery store, they give you $10 an hour, or a waitress, because it's a lot of people can do it. But when you get into a limited thing, like a programmer or some sort of doctor or something, you make a lot more money because there's not enough people that can do it. And if you're limited, you're worth more. With my background, I'm worth a lot because I can do finance and economics and gold and Excel and SAP and stuff like that. So I can do a broad brush, which makes me more limited, and that's why I can get paid pretty well. But that's what you're looking for. So the dollar is not limited. So I'm trying to help you understand why you want to buy, really why you want to get out of the dollar. They printed it, it has no value, so why do you want to hold it? That's really right? As I say with the Titanic, we've hit the iceberg, and now that's the cause, and the effect is the boat sinks. And get to the lifeboat, get your gold, and get off the boat, get into the lifeboat as soon as possible. So the action is hitting the iceberg, lets all the water in, lets the boat sink. You need the lifeboat. So it's the same thing here. You're printing the dollars, lets the water in, and then they're worthless, and you got to get into the gold boat. And the only way, so you got to buy gold and silver. And that's the thing. But you can't stay in the boat. You can't stay in this because it can only go to zero, because they keep printing it, and then they got to pay for the debt, and that's another $1 trillion. So you can't. The boat's sinking. This is the boat. It's sinking, and you can't stay in the boat. So think about it. I'm on the Titanic. The water's coming in. I can't stay on the boat. It's going to be at the bottom of the Atlantic. You can't stay in this. It's going to be on the bottom of the Atlantic. And then nobody wants it because the suppression, look what they did to the Russians. Nobody wants the dollar. So as soon as the demand's gone, the value's gone. And the more you're printing, nobody wants it anyway. And with BRICS, Putin's making sure, and they hate America. They don't want America to succeed. They benefit from the dollar going out, and then they're king of the castle. And with those two, believe me, they're coming out with gold-backed currency, and then that destroys the dollar because nobody wants it. It's really nobody wants it to get it, but it's, again, they're printing and printing because these guys are idiots. They're Keynesians. They don't understand gold. They don't understand if they keep printing, it goes to zero, or they don't lead on that they believe it. And so as we go down, and you'll hear these idiots, oh, everything's fine, and prices are down, where inflation's really 2%. Bull fucking shit. Inflation's at least 20%, if not higher at this point. It's got nothing to do with prices. You inflate the money supply, so there's more supply of money, which means there's less value, like the Mahomes card. If this said 50,000 on it, I could get $1 for it. 50, I could get maybe 5 or 10,000 for it. So you can see that there's more demand for something that's limited, and then they're going to push the price up because 75 people want the card and there's only 50 of them, so the price goes up. But if there's 50,000 of them, like this card, so if you have a regular Dunroast Reggie Jackson and there's 2 million of these, there's not enough demand and there's nothing driving the demand. The demand will not go up for a regular Reggie Jackson card, but the demand for a 50 count draws more people in because there's only 50 of them. So that draws more people to the party. So that's what really gold and silver is. It's very limited. You can't print it. That's the beauty of it. The dollar, they sit there and they print it, right? They have a printing press and they print 1 trillion of them. But you can't print gold and silver, which is why it's money and why it's the thing to get into. So I know we've talked about it a lot, and I know I'm trying to bang the point home. But that's really it. It's supply demand. It's free market. That's what economics is. People want something, you make a product. The more you make of it, the less the value, the less you sell it for. If you have a gold Rolex, it goes for 50,000 because there's only a few of them, and you can't fake it. It's gold. A regular watch at the store, they sell for $50 because they can make a ton of them. They're not made out of gold. So gold's the key because it is limited. So anything that is limited is what you want, and then it's got to be in demand. So as long as it's in demand and it's limited, let's see who's bothering me now. Yeah, whatever. So keep that in mind. So the way the economy works, the less things are, the more you can charge for it, because it draws people in, especially assets. It draws people in. So if there's only, how many 12-year-old 1997? This is 1997. How many 12-year-old bottles of this are left, which would drive the price up and drive people in to buy it because they can make money in it, which is the key to it. I wish I had a year. But I worked there in 95, 6, 7, and I bought it from there. But this is extremely rare because they don't make 12-year-old every year. Anyway, that's what you're looking for, something that's limited, but there's demand for it. It could be limited and no demand. Like if this was Joe Blow 50 count, nobody would care. Nobody likes Joe Blow or cares about it. But if it's Tom Brady or Mahomes, people will want it, and that drives the price up because it is limited and go, oh, wow, it's a 50 count. Oh, this is going to be valuable. So then it's the people thinking it's valuable driving it up, going, oh, this is good. I can get this. It's valuable. It's going to go up in price. People have I want to make money. I want to get rich. I don't want to work. That's the biggest thing now. So I need brakes. So I'm going to go to my brake guy. Well, there's a lifeguard who says, yeah, I'm a mechanic. And I says, okay, can you fix my brakes? He says, sure. Okay, when do you want to do it? I don't know. I got to get time for it. So this is Thursday. So yesterday my mechanic calls me. You can come in Wednesday. Slam dunk. I'm going to go to him. I trust him, and it's, it'll be the best price I can get, and whatever I need is fine. If I don't need rotors, I won't get rotors. If he says you need rotors, I'll get them. I'm not even sure I need the front and the rear brakes because I remember because you basically, when you stop and hit your brakes, you're basically using your front brakes. So I'm not really sure why I need my rear brakes and why I need the rotors. It's 62,000 miles on the car. Am I going to need rotors already? So again, there's the unknown. There's the Madoff, right? I don't trust Toyota the dealership, but I trust this guy. And that's the key to understanding it is also the trust factor. But anyway, so the kid, I haven't heard from him. Well, I told you I need it brakes. I need it now. I need it, in the next week or so. So I haven't heard from him. I probably won't hear from him. This is the problem with kids now. They don't want to work. But when I mention silver and gold, I don't have money for it. Okay, I'm offering you money to fix my brakes. You can go buy gold and silver, but I don't hear from them. So this is the problem with kids now. They don't see it, right? They don't get it. They want to be in Bitcoin. So they want to be lazy and make money is really what they're trying to do. That's what I view of kids today. They don't want to work. They want to be in Bitcoin. And they don't know why Bitcoin goes up, but they know it does. They don't realize they're with the Russian mafia laundering money in Bitcoin. They don't realize that. And that it's not money because it's not acceptable. I can't go to Kroger's or Target and use it. Nobody will, because nobody knows what the price is. It's unstable. And that's the problem. So that's the problem with Bitcoin. So be careful. But it's the psychology of getting rich. I'll buy Bitcoin at 2,000, it'll go to 40. I'll buy it at 40, it'll go to 100,000. Because the sailor guy says so, but when you ask him, why will it go up? I can't get an answer. I've asked a lot of people who have Bitcoin, especially at poker, why is Bitcoin going up? And I can't get an answer. Because I can tell you why gold's going up, because you're ruining the dollar. I can tell you're ruining the dollar by printing it. But you can't tell me what would make Bitcoin go up. Because if you ruin the dollar, Bitcoin will have no value because Bitcoin's valued in dollars. But you say, well, gold also is valued in dollars. No, it's not. Gold can be valued in gold. So my ounce of gold can buy a house because it's money and it's limited. So therefore the demand's there and the value is going to be there. But Bitcoin, how do you get a value for Bitcoin without the money, without dollars? You can't. It won't hold up on its own. It's not like gold where you just value things in gold. 1 ounce of gold buys you this and that. When Bitcoin, first of all, nobody wants it. I wouldn't. So in other words, let's say I own a house and you offer me 3 gold coins for it, 3 ounces. I said, sure, I'll take it. You offer me 3 Bitcoins. Would I take it? I can't even accept Bitcoin. There's no money. So even if I did, how do I go to the bank for it? So it becomes that thing, but everybody recognizes gold and silver. And so that's, I think, the difference. It's real money. It's limited. Everybody accepts it. All the banks are buying it. All the central banks, China, and, so the biggest thing I say is Putin, we don't like. Putin, but we don't think he's stupid. And if he owns 32,000 tons of gold, we want to buy gold because he has it. Why does he have it if it's bullshit? That's the biggest argument I have. And we all don't like Putin or we don't understand him. But if he's got gold, I probably want to buy gold because he has it. So that's where him and Xi are just going to crush the U.S. Believe me, they don't like the U.S. China needs the U.S. because we buy from them. But when the dollar's out, we won't be able to buy from China. So this will be a very interesting paradox because China makes everything, but they need a buyer. And we're the buyer for all the Chinese products, basically. The toys and the gumballs and the shoes and the socks and everything. So since we buy the Nike stuff that they make because they're cheap labor, if we go out, who's going to buy it? And so it's going to hurt China. But if you have gold, you don't really need anybody to buy it because you have gold and it goes from 2,000 to 50,000. We don't really need to sell Nikes. But that's the thing. They're the ones who benefit from us going out. And I'm sure they'll get another buyer because in BRICS, the Japanese will buy from them, Europe, the Germans will buy for them, the French. They'll need the products, and I'm sure they'll buy from them. And they want real money. They don't want the bullshit euro or the bullshit British pound or dollar. They realize they're not worth anything. They know there's no value in it. So therefore, they must get, if they're going to give us something, they want money that's worth something, which is gold and silver. That's really where it gets. It's mostly oil. They have signed a pact now. So Saudi Arabia and Russia says we're only going to take gold for our oil. Well, what do you think is going to happen to the price? Goes up. What's going to happen to the price of the dollar? It's going to tank because all this oil, which is needed, is now the demand is for gold, not for dollars. So that makes dollars out. Like I said, all these countries don't want the dollar, but there's no substitute for it, are going to get this gold-backed currency to substitute and get out of the dollar. But they don't want to be in the dollar, but they don't have a choice now. The Argentinian money or the Brazilian money isn't worth anything because they print the fuck out of it. So only people that are smart enough to have gold-backed currency have that. Now, there's something weird that nobody has it except for Zimbabwe actually has gold coins for their economy, and their economy is much stronger. But that's why Russia and China are organizing gold-backed currency, because there's never been a currency that survived that isn't gold-backed or silver-backed. The Romans, okay, we're living in Rome right now. We're the Roman Empire. Nothing can happen to us. We're the best. Yeah, okay. We're the Titanic. We can't sink. Yeah, okay. We're the U.S. We're the number, we can't go out. Yeah, we can, and we are, because these idiots who are in charge of the money have one job, to keep the money safe, are not doing it. And they don't even know that they can't keep printing it. And once you got morons in charge, and we got morons in charge of our whole government, it's sad. I mean, it's really sad. The Constitution says you can only have gold and silver coins for money. We got paper. The Constitution says you can't have a central bank. We have a central bank, because they know it's communism. And then the bank takes over. They start taxing us, which we shouldn't be paying a tax on income or sales or any of that shit. There's no reason to be charged income tax for your work. It's a division of labor. I'm going to make, I'll make straws for you, and you pay me. So there's the other side of the thing. So in my world, I'll do finance for you. What are you going to do to get me to do that? Well, we've come up with money, but the money's supposed to be safe and secure. Is not. It's supposed to not be printed to death. It's supposed to be gold and silver. Pays me for my finance. So I do finance for you. You pay me. Where the fuck is the tax supposed to be from that? You don't tax that. That's not taxable. It's not income. I'm doing that for you, and you're rewarding me. Well, it's a free trade. I do the finance for you. You pay me. You give me money. You could give me oranges or bananas or gallons of gas. I'll pay you 100 gallons of gas to do finance for me. And that's why we chose money. It is the medium of exchange. I can then take it and go to the grocery store and pay my rent, and everything that is in the economy uses the medium of exchange of the dollar. Nowhere is that supposed to be taxed, and it's because of the central bank. So we're doing a lot of shit we shouldn't be doing. It's very corrupt. The people printing the money print more and more. We go into debt because they print more and more. You got idiots in government doing all this, and the government's run by the banks, who, when they fuck up, they just print more money, and it's such a stupid game. So imagine betting football, and we all bet on, we'll all take Troy to beat Duke. So we all bet Troy to beat Duke because Duke's quarterback's out, and Duke wins. And we all lose $1 billion. And then we say, well, we'll just print it. So just print $1 billion. And then it never really happened. And there's no problem. That's how they do it. So when they lose on the real estate trust, and the attacking Wall Street guy loses his 60,000, they just print him more money and bail him out. What kind of fuck is that? They should go out of business. But because the banks run the government, the banks say, no, you're going to reimburse us, which is what they do. It's So they call it a bailout and they print the money. But the problem is they can't print the money anymore because of the debt, and the money's been printed to death. That if they keep doing that, there just isn't, nobody wants it. So now Russia, China wake up going, wait a minute, we don't want your money. It's worthless. And they go out and buy all this gold and silver that we're so politely keeping at 2,000 an ounce instead of letting the price go up. And then Russia, China can't afford to buy it all. The problem I have is, why isn't the U.S. buying it at this cheap price? Well, maybe they are. They certainly aren't going to tell you because they don't want you buying it, and they don't want it to compete with the dollar. So they might be buying it. I'm sure JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are buying gold at these cheap prices, and that'll be how they survive. But the only way out is a gold-backed currency. Now, it's because you can't print it is why. It's not because it's pretty, and it's not because it's gold or silver. It's because you can't inflate it and print and print and print and lose the value. That's why you want to gold-backed currency, not necessarily because we like gold because it's a pretty color. But that's the thing that holds the value. It's an anchor, so you can't just keep printing and printing, because as you see, the more you print, the less they're worth. That's the inflation. You printed too many dollars. The only way out, if I was the new finance guy, would be to back it by gold right now. I would wash all these dollars out. I'd come out with new dollars backed by gold. That is the only way you're going to survive, because they have printed this to death. Then the demand for the dollar would go up, and then all those sales, all the trade would go up, and you wouldn't lose value. Right now, you don't know what the value of the dollar is. You know, I $60 buys me a steak, some hamburger, some chicken, and, a few minor things. I don't even put half of my basket, and it's $60, $70, $80. So that's telling you the dollar has no value, and that's really the key to it. Anyway, so that's your economic class for today. The gold-backed currency is the only way out. That's what you look for. BRICS and Russia is going to that because their dollars are worthless, and they want to collapse the U.S. It's in their best interest to be the lead currency. We got all the gold. So they're smart enough to realize that gold's the answer, and they've got a lot of gold, and we don't have any. If we did a Fort Knox inventory right now, we would have nothing there, nothing that's ours. There might be some gold in it, but it would be our gold. It would be Japan's or somebody's. So understand that. Understand if you're in the gold, understand the dollar's worthless and being printed to zero, aka we hit the iceberg. And once you realize that, and you get out of the dollar to buy gold and silver, you've taken the risk out of it. At worst case, the dollar stays around, and JP Morgan does this, and the COMEX does that. And the next thing you know, okay, well, I'll go take the gold back and get my money back. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. The gold is always going to have a huge value, and the gold stores, if you ever bought gold, there's people selling it every day, and they give them money as long as they can authenticate it. And it is a U.S. 1 ounce gold. It's gold. Here's $2,000 for it. And they'll give you a spot. So realize that it's very easy to go back where you bought it and sell it. So you might need a jeweler or a gold store, somebody that sells gold. You might realize that not every jewelry store buys and sells gold. You need a gold store. But as this happens, there'll be a lot more of them that'll be happily taking your gold and paying you for it. But you want U.S. dollars, but soon you won't. When the U.S. dollars just goes out, you don't want them. You want the new whatever's coming next, which will probably be another U.S. dollar. Hopefully gets backed by gold and silver. If not, it'll be worthless also, and the gold and silver goes up higher and higher and higher. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so we got football today. The UTSA. Apparently, Frank Harris is paying the first quarter. Good luck figuring out a bet that. Let's see what the line is. It's 5:00. And it's 7.5, 47.5. So the real question is Frank Harris's backup. Now, he did play in 3 or 4 games, and we really need to see how good he is. Marshall apparently sucks. So it's coming down because Frank Harris is only going to play the first quarter. That's why it's going down, but not because anything Marshall does. Marshall's a pretty bad team, a very weak defense. So if Frank Harris's replacement's good, then it's a good bet. If not, it isn't. And that's really the only game today. And then not till the 22nd, we got South Florida and Syracuse. And then on Thursday in the pros, we get the Rams at 4.5 over New Orleans, 46.5, which is what it is. So now we check injuries, we check weather. Are we getting a clean game or not? That's what you need to know. But that'll be later on, and that's it. So that's your football. That's your economics and gold. I believe I covered what I wanted to cover in economics. Again, they're killing the dollar, so that's why you buy gold. You can't lose with it. There's no risk. Supply demand is economics. And, you want a free market. You don't want communism. You don't want Keynesianism. Keynesianism is communism, basically. And that's what they're doing now is they're trying to have the government run everything, and it doesn't work. Not only is it bad because they're telling you what to do, but it doesn't work. So we really want something that leave it to us. That's what the U.S. has been founded on. We make the decisions. We run everything, not the government. It's supposed to be very limited government. And the government keeps growing and growing, and it's a pain. All these regulations, I mean, it's crazy. So you got to be just very careful with it. It's not good. It's not healthy. There's a lot of drug problems because people can't deal with it. It's related to money, but then you're ruining the money. So you've got 100,000. You think you're okay. Then you find out the money's worthless. Now what do? You do what I did. You buy gold and silver with your money. You can't lose. It's going to go up. And if I stayed in the money, it would go to zero. So it's a double catch. Keeping your money in the bank, in the stocks, in the bonds, it's going to zero. And then keeping your money in gold and silver could only go up. So as long as you understand that concept, buy as much as you can, as soon as you can, because it's not going to stay long. The BRICS will come out with the gold-backed currency, which will kill the dollar, and the gold prices will go up. So you're kind of, I don't know how much you have in 2024. I don't know if it's January, February, or March, but I would not think you have much time to hold on to the dollar and buy gold at these cheap prices. Anyway, I think it's time for dinner. Have a good day. I will look for some more. I'm going to read some economic stuff to teach you. Otherwise, we'll talk football. And now we got Philly on a 3-game losing streak. How they lost, I have no idea. But we'll keep in mind we're looking for weak favorites to bet against or strong dogs to bet on. Hence strong dog, maybe Indy. Minnesota, Cleveland, Jacksonville. Excuse me. Dallas, certainly. Baltimore, if you want to fuck with San Francisco. And the same thing in college. We get Georgia as a dog, or Alabama as a dog. Pretty good. All right. Well, have a nice night. It's cold here. It's snowing, so keep an eye. If you're betting like Green Bay or some of these games, check the weather before you bet it. It was nice in Green Bay Sunday, so it didn't hurt Tampa. But this week, Green Bay's at Carolina, so it really won't be a problem. There shouldn't be too many weather games. Pittsburgh, maybe. The Jets. Excuse me. The Bears could be in maybe Kansas City, Philadelphia. They could get a little cold, but that's it. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. www.teaserking.com. All the bowls, $100. All the bowls and the pros through the Super Bowl, $200. You get the locks and everything else. Good luck to you. I hope everything is, I have a great Christmas. We got it's amazing. Christmas is next Monday, right? Next Monday's, I can't believe it. Less than a week, we've got Christmas. Oh my God. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. And I will see you tomorrow, right around 1:30, 2-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood.